Hey guys, what's going on? It's Codiak back doing another Legion Pre-Patch PTR test video. We're looking at the Balance Druid today. You can see my Balance Druid rocking out right now. There is a lot to look at. They have reworked the Balance Druid. The Boomkin has changed quite a bit, and so let's just dive right in. The first thing you're going to notice, the very first thing, for anybody that's ever played a Boomkin before, you're going to notice that there's no more bar, right? There's no more rock back and forth between a lunar phase and a solar phase. What we actually have now is this thing up here called Astral Power. This is a mechanism that Blizzard has applied before to other classes. It's a builder. It's a builder and a spender, right? So Astral Power, that's our new bread and butter. So we need to look at how we generate Astral Power, right? And let's look what Blizzard says we should be doing. So we're balanced, obviously. Our primary stat's still intellect. Solar Wrath and Lunar Strike. Lunar Strike, obviously a rename, but let's see. Solar Wrath, ranged attack that generates Astral Power. Lunar Strike, a ranged attack that generates Astral Power, dealing damage to the primary target and lesser damage to other nearby enemies. So they've added a little AoE component to the Lunar Strike. You definitely want to keep that in mind, because what we know as Warlords of Draenor Boomkins is that our Lunar Strike ability was our big hit, right? That was our big hitter. We were only using that when we were in the lunar phase, and we wanted to get those big hits in there because they're going to do some huge numbers. And Solar Wrath was kind of our weaker one. Now what it's looking like is Solar Wrath is our single target builder, and Lunar Strike is more of a small AoE builder, if you will. You know, they don't specify. They're saying it's a small amount of damage to targets around your main target. So a little bit of an AoE component there. Star Surge is still here. Strong ranged attack that spends Astral Power and increases the damage done by Lunar Strike and Solar Wrath. Okay, so here's the deal. We build our Astral Power, we hit Star Surge, and what we get is an empowerment. Our Lunar Strike and our Solar Wrath are going to deal some more damage. And it's a stacking effect, and you guys will see that really soon. Moonfire, still our dot, still one of our primary dots, and now Sunfire. Sunfire and Moonfire, they're separate now, so we're going to be maintaining both dots. Not a big deal. We've been doing that forever, and now we get control of it. Now we get control of keeping both of those dots up, two independent buttons, and that's great. And then here's the one that hits most Boomkins close to the heart. Changes to Starfall. It's still a ranged attack. It consumes Astral Power and deals damage over time to all enemies within a targeted area. So yes, guys, Starfall is now a reticle ability. I will show you it really quick. For any of my Boomkin friends who have absolutely loved the class and have played the class forever, this is bittersweet, right? There's some of my best moments in raids is joking around with one of our resident Boomkins, Mahana. And because he pulled half the room, right? So here we go. Here's Starfall. It's a huge radius, huge radius, but I get to control it, right? I pop it down, and there it is. It's hitting everything in the reticle. It's got some cool new shiny animations. It's got some cool new sound effects. So it's there. It's there, guys. It's changed, but it's there. And that's awesome. All right, and that's it. That's what Blizzard says our 6 moves are, right? And as you can see, I set up my bars beforehand this time. And that's pretty much what I got. I've got my Sunfire, my Solar Wrath, and I've got my Moonfire and my Lunar Strike. And then I've got some other stuff here that we're going to get into right now. So let's take a look at the talents. Let's see what we're working with this time and see what some of the options we have are. So we've got 3 options in the 15 tier here. We have a Force of Nature, which is our classic Boomkin lore, Balance Druid lore, Trents, or Treants. I'm not quite sure what the pronunciation is of that, but we get Trents. For 10 seconds, they taunt targets in a targeted area. So it almost sounds like a leveling ability. Not something we're probably going to use in a raid environment. 1 minute cooldown, no big deal. Moving on, we have Warrior of Elune. Your next 2 Lunar Strikes are instant. Alright, so this is really straightforward, guys. You take that, you pop it, you're going to get 2 Lunar Strikes. 2 Lunar Strikes. It's a 45-second cooldown, so it's kind of that awkward in-between. Longer than 30 seconds, obviously, shorter than a minute, so it's the awkward 45-second cooldown time. And then our final tier, final ability in that tier is Star Lord. Lunar and solar empowerments also reduce the cast time of their affected spell by 8%. Okay, so when I'm empowered, right, when I cast a Star Surge, I get empowerments on my spells. Now, my Lunar and Solar empowerments are reducing the cast times of my spells. So my Lunar Strike and my Sunfire are being, my Solar Wrath and my Lunar Strike are being reduced, their cast time at least, by 8%. So that's kind of cool. It's a passive. We don't really have to manage it. You'll notice it. You'll notice it in your rotation. You'll say, "Oh wow, that was a little bit faster, I suppose. 8% faster to be exact." And let's see, our 30 level talents here are the same across the board. Renewal, Displacer Beast, and Wild Charge. We know what Displacer Beast does. It teleports us into a cat, brings us forward about 25 yards. Wild Charge changes obviously depending on what form you're in. Now it looks like Wild Charge gives us kind of a disengage ability here. Let me get out of combat and take a quick peek at this. I haven't looked at this yet, so this will be interesting. Let's see what happens. Nothing is happening. Hold on, let me get into Boomkin form. Where are you, Wild Charge? There you are. So let's see here. Yeah, so like a little pseudo disengage. Guys, that could have a lot of applications. I main a hunter. I main a hunter for the guild Exiled Power. If you guys don't know who we are a 2-day raiding guild on Arthas. We are the #1 2-day raiding guild on Arthas. And if you don't know who I am Codiak, and I am the raid leader for Exiled Power. And if you guys want to know more about us, we have one of the best websites in WoW, I believe, and you can check us out at exiledpower.com. But yeah, guys, as a hunter, I gotta tell you, disengage is one of my favorite abilities. It gives me the flexibility to turn around and disengage forward. It gives me the ability to back out of an encounter, out of a situation. So that's really cool. I'm not gonna get too far into that, but just know from a hunter, disengage is awesome. If you want a disengage-like ability, go with Wild Charge. If you want Displacer Beast, we all know what Displacer Beast does. I'll show you just in case you haven't seen it in a while. I'll throw it on the bars here. We're in a Displacer Beast. And boom, I teleport forward and I turn into a cat. Gives me a little bit of a speed boost here for a couple seconds, and then we're back in the fray. So your other option is Renewal. It's an instant heal, usable in all shapeshift forms. Not a big deal. Alright, now we're down to the 45 level talents, and these are the affinities that we talked about in the Guardian Druid video. So Feral Affinity, we get obviously some feral abilities like Shred, Rip, Ferocious Bite, and Swipe, but we also get the movement speed buff, and that's really cool. That's 15% passive movement speed. Our Guardian Affinity gives us reduced damage by 10%, which is really cool, as well as some other abilities like Mangle, Thrash, Iron Fur, Frenzied Regeneration. Now keep in mind, guys, that Iron Fur is a defensive cooldown, so if we do get Iron Fur and we're looking at an encounter that's really, really taxing, if you're looking for a little bit more survivability, don't dismiss Guardian Affinity. And then we have Restoration Affinity, which heals you for 3% of your maximum health every 5 seconds, and heals an injured ally nearby if you were at max health. So that's kind of cool. You get a couple little restoration abilities there with Rejuve, Regrowth, and Swiftmend, so that's great. Let's move down to 60. This is our utility tier. We have Typhoon, Mass Entanglement, and Mighty Bash. We're not going to get into those. You guys know what those do. If you don't know what those do, read the tooltips, figure them out. Nothing in that tier is going to play a major part in what you do in a raid. There are some encounters that may require you to switch that up to help the raid out for some utility, but nothing huge. Okay, here is where things start to get really interesting. As we already talked about, Blizzard changed up the entire balance system. The way that we generate and spend our resources totally changed, and so let's look at what Blizzard has done to kind of balance the scales. And no, that is not some terrible joke around nature's balance. So we have in the 75 talent tier, Soul of the Forest, Incarnation, Chosen of Elune, and Stellar Flare. So let's look at each of these. Soul of the Forest increases the damage bonus from lunar and solar empowerments by an additional 15% and reduces the astral power cost of Starfall by 10%. By 10, sorry. So this is cool. So this is going to basically make our empowerments hit a little bit harder. A refresher, every time we cast Star Surge, our abilities, our Lunar Strike, and our Solar Wrath are empowered. So it's going to give us 15% increased damage to that, and reduces the cost of Starfall. So it seems like it's single target. a boost, but it's also throwing us a little bone for the AoE land. So that's kind of interesting. And then we have our Incarnation, which replaces Celestial Alignment. Celestial Alignment is our 3-minute DPS cooldown. Incarnation basically improves that form and increases our damage to all spells by 35% and causes our Lunar Strike and Solar Wrath to generate 50% additional astral power. And it lasts 30 seconds. So this is really cool, guys. This is a big 3-minute cooldown. It lines up nice with Bloodlust. It lines up nice with Burn Phases. 35% to all spells and 50% additional astral power. So that's really, 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 really cool. And then we have Stellar Flare. Burns the target for 8,500 astral damage, and then an additional 38,000 really, over 24 seconds. Stellar Flare benefits from Starfall's Stellar Empowerment. Okay, so this is an additional spell that we would get here. I'll take it really quick and I'll show you guys. So this is an additional spell that we're going to get that benefits off of Starfall's Empowerment. So let's get some astral power here. We'll just start casting away. I am wearing some tier gear here, guys, so that's where these little Fey Dragons are coming from. If you haven't done HFC, that is some of the bonuses from that. So here we go. And there we go. There's a Starfall, just so you know what it looks like. We're just going to keep casting. And let's get an empowerment in a second here. Let's get an empowerment. Keep my dots up. Keep my dots up. Alright, so there's my empowerment, and now I'm going to cast Stellar Flare, right? And there's Stellar Flare. It's got a cool little animation. It's putting a dot on our target. It's putting a dot. It does some initial damage and putting a dot on our target. And as you can see, both of my abilities are lit up right now because I have Lunar Empowerment and Solar Empowerment. So that's individual, guys. It's not one and both casts are gone. We get one cast for each spell. So that's pretty cool. My Fey Dragons here will keep firing away. I'll try and get out of combat. Here. Might take a second. So let's finish this up. So Stellar Flare, Incarnation, and Solar Force. Don't dismiss any of them, guys. We have to see what the number crunchers are going to do. I am not a number cruncher. I'm just giving you the breakdown. And there are some really cool choices there. So in the 90 tier, we have Shooting Stars, Astral Communion, and Blessing of the Ancients. As you can tell, my guy right now is he's a little blue. He's feeling a little blue. And what that is actually Blessing of the Ancients. And what Blessing of the Ancients does is gives us two toggleable options. Blessing of Elune and Blessing of Anshi. And Blessing of Elune increases our astral power generation by Solar Wrath and Lunar Strike by 40%. So the more we cast Solar Wrath and Lunar Strike, the more astral power we get. Their baseline is increased by 40%. And then Blessing of Anshi generates 2 astral power every 2.2 seconds. So a very passive thing. If you want to switch to Blessing of Anshi, you're going to be getting 2.2 astral power every 2.2 seconds. So that's really interesting. And then we have Astral Communion, which is just a straight up generates 75 astral power on a minute and 33 seconds really cooldown. I assume that's got to be benefiting from some haste or some kind of stat weight there, because a minute and 33 seconds is a little strange, unless it's lining up with something that I don't know. And then we have Shooting Stars. Moonfire and Sunfire damage over time has 10% chance to call down a falling star, dealing 1,600 astral damage and generating 5 astral power. So again, guys, this is another passive ability. You're not really going to notice it, but every time your Sunfire and Moonfire damage over time, there's a 10% chance that it could call down another little thing. Let's see if we can get one to toggle here. Show you what that looks like. I got both dots up, as you can see, and we're just waiting for the dot to do something. And so this is interesting, guys. This is another little passive bone they're throwing us. There it is. You saw it. There's another one. So they're kind of like little shooting stars that come out of the sky. It almost looks like the Starfall animation, but with this talent choice, you're Shooting Star. Makes sense, right? Alright, so that's your tier 90, and let's look at the tier 100s. We have Fury of Elune, Stellar Drift, and Nature's Balance. Right now I have Fury of Elune toggled, and this is a really, really cool ability, guys. It's really neat. They did a great job with the animation. And this is going to reward players that know how the astral power system works. Calls down a beam of pure celestial energy at the target's location, dealing 12,000 astral damage every 1 second until your astral power is exhausted. So it's a beam that's sucking away from your astral power, and once your astral power is gone, the spell stops. While Fury of Elune is active, you may recast it at no cost to direct the beam to move to a different location. Alright, so let me show you guys this. This is really, really cool stuff. Really cool. I like it. I think it's really neat. A good player is going to make great use out of this ability. Absolutely great work. So let me get a full bar here. I'm going to get 100 Astral Power. And I know I'm not going to keep it up for long, but here we go. So there's your beam. There's your beam, and it's doing work. Now I'm trying to keep my Astral Power up, and I'm going to move it. Boom. No cost. I move the beam. It's got a little trail effect, and that's awesome. It's just ticking away, ticking away, ticking away, doing 12,000, almost 13,000 astral damage every second. So a player that's getting a lot of procs, say in a lust phase or in a burn phase where their generation of astral power is really high, a good player is going to really be able to capitalize on the ability like Fury of Elune. Moving on, we have Stellar Drift, which increases Starfall's radius by 30%, Starfall's damage by 20%, and allows you to cast while moving within Starfall. So this is clearly the AoE path, right? Starfall is a huge AoE ability. And they're throwing us two bones. They're throwing us a radius increase and a damage increase, as well as being able to move with inside Starfall. Who knows if Boomkins are going to become that AoE class in a fight? I've looked at some of the fights in Legion, and there's some ads. There's some ad fights. There's some fights where there's multiple targets, and we may need a Boomkin that's spec'd into Stellar Drift and really focusing on their Starfall damage. The final ability here is Nature's Balance, which we kind of know. If you haven't played a Boomkin in a while, you might not know it, but aligns the power of the moon and stars, causing Lunar Strike to extend the duration of Moonfire by 5.3 seconds, and Solar Wrath to extend the duration of your Sunfire by 3.5 seconds. Most Boomkins will know this type of ability. I'll show it to you guys really quick here. I'm going to cast my Sunfire, and now I'm just going to cast Solar Wrath, and just show you that the remaining time on that debuff is going down. On that dot, it's going up. It's going up because I keep casting Sunfire, or Solar Wrath here. And the same thing with Moonfire, so I'll cast Moonfire, and then I'll Lunar Strike, and just watch that timer, guys. It's going to keep going up. Right, so this is just extending your dot. Just extending your dot. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a huge deal. From what I can tell, with my brief knowledge of playing, or my brief experience playing this class, is that Fury of Elune is really going to reward the players that know how to play this class. If maybe you're a less familiar with the class, you'll play Nature's Balance, or potentially Stellar Drift. I don't think that's the right choice, but who knows? We're going to have to wait and see. The jury's still out. So let's change up some stuff. Let's take a look at all this stuff. Let's get my Fey Dragons to stop attacking here. Let's get out of combat, and I'll show you a couple rotations, and then we'll call it a day. So we're out of combat, I think. There we go. And so let's see here. My Fey Dragons are still going nuts. Still going nuts on targets. We'll keep Fury of Elune. If I can ever get out of combat here. There we go. I'm going to take Fury of Elune. I'm going to take Blessing of the Ancients. We'll take Incarnation. And we'll stick with Feral Affinity. I like some movement. And then Displacer Beast. And we'll take Star-Lord. We'll take Star-Lord because it reduces cast time, and I like that. Faster spells mean more spells I can cast. So let's switch to Moonkin form here. Get a couple of these things off our bars because we don't need them. And I'm just going to show you a basic rotation. Right now I have Blessing of Elune activated, which is generating Astral Power generated by Solar Wrath and Lunar Strike increased by 40%. So I'm generating more Astral Power from my two main abilities. So let's get some stuff on here. I'll open with my Incarnation, which is increasing my Boomkin form. And let's go ham. Here we go. Dots are up, and now I'm just going to single target away until I can get a Star Surge. I'm going to single target away, I'm going to Star Surge, and boom, both of my spells are empowered. We'll cast both of them, and we'll go back to building. And we'll go back to building, and we'll make sure that our dots stay up. Both of our dots are up. I've got a full bar. I'll use Fury of Elune, and there we go. Everything's going. We'll cast a Star Surge. I know that probably wasn't the right move. Probably wasn't the right move. Remember, you want to maintain when you're using Fury of Elune, and I just wasted all of my Astral Power, so that's probably not the right move. But now you guys can see it. This is pretty simple, guys. Keep in mind, I want you guys to keep in mind that we don't have our artifact weapon, right? We're still using some, what are we using? Rune-infused spear, some crappy weapon. So the artifact weapon adds a whole new level to this gameplay, which we're not going to talk about right now, but it gives you a new spell. and that spell is really, really crucial to weaving into the Boomkin rotation. But that's pretty much it, guys. Let's just take a quick peek at our talents, or our passives, I should say. Astral Influence increases the range of all your abilities by 5 yards. Feline Swiftness from our affinity there. And then Mastery Starlight increases Starfall and Star Surge damage, and the effect of lunar and solar and stellar empowerments by an additional 51%. So pretty straightforward. This class, this spec has been totally sussed out. It is a total 180 from what they were doing in Warlords of Draenor and everything before that. And we're on a builder spender kind of spec. And if you're into that, that's great. This seems really bread and butter to me now. It seems like they did a lot of stuff that they're comfortable with. They said, we need to get Boomkins to a place. They got it to that place. There are obviously a lot of talents that affect your astral regeneration, your astral power regeneration. And I feel like those may be band-aids. I feel like they're putting a lot of stock on, well, we couldn't get the tuning quite right, but here are some talents that'll help you regenerate your astral power. And my feeling is that the more gear we get, the more legendaries, the more artifact power we get, things are going to really change with this class. And it's going to get out of control really quick. I could be dead wrong. Don't take my word for it. I am not a Boomkin expert. But yeah, that's what the Boomkin's looking like, guys. It's got some cool stuff. Definitely got some cool stuff, some cool animations, some cool sounds. But the Boomkin getting a major facelift. I like my Boomkin. I'm hoping to play him in Legion. I'm hoping to see how that artifact weapon ties into the whole system. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for checking out the video. My name is Codiak, and we will see you next time for a Legion Pre-Patch PTR test video.